Hi everyone, the year is still new and I thought of making this video sharing my New Year planty resolutions so that both you and I can have a stress-free and enjoyable houseplant growing journey in 2026. I do have 7 resolutions written out so that I don't forget any of them and stick to the plan. Firstly, I will admit that I did struggle a lot growing houseplants in 2025. It was stressful, and sometimes I feel like it's more of a chore than a hobby. So that is why I gave it a really good thought before indulging in buying more plants. And this year, I don't feel the same negative emotions towards houseplants in 2026. Now, I will be stating these in the order of importance, but the last one is the most important for me. You may agree or disagree with that, but yes, I'm just going to go ahead and start listing them one by one. So, the first resolution for me is to simplify lighting. This year, I'm not going to be fighting with the indoor conditions of my home and the outdoor conditions of the environment. Now, even though I have lots of south facing windows and a large south facing porch door, I hardly get any direct light indoors in summer because I do live in a townhouse. This starts from a ground level, and I have like two large trees right outside my south facing windows, and I also have awning on my windows and my porch doors. So over summer I do not get any direct lighting. So yes, I am going to be simplifying lighting. And how would I be doing that? That is to stick to just one brand of grow lights. For me personally, I am just going to be sticking to the Sansi grow light bulbs because I have gotten good results with that. But in the last year, I did flip through quite a few brands like Sansi, Barina, um, and even GE grow lights, but I ended up returning them because I felt that my plants responded the best under the light from the Sansi bulbs. Now, it could be because of my indoor conditions like humidity or my watering also influenced it. So, I'm not saying that Sansi is the best, but yes, see how your plants respond to a particular brand of grow lights and just stick to it. Now, the second thing that I will be doing is automating on the lights on timers because I feel that last year I had to go around multiple places multiple times a day. So, morning I would wake up, make my coffee, and then go around turning lights all over my apartment. And then again in the evening when I had to go around turning all of them off. So I am going to be putting them all on those timer plugs so that they turn on and off automatically and I don't have to worry about that. And when it comes to lighting, there is another important thing. I am not going to be buying plants that need very high light. So this year, I'm not going to be buying any cacti or succulents because even under grow lights, until and unless you can optimize the distance of your plant from the grow light, your succulents are either going to burn from too much light and heat or they are going to etiolate from just a little low light from the grow light bulb. And I feel lighting is the most important factor to having very healthy plants indoors because oftentimes the signs of the plant receiving very low light can be misunderstood as overwatering. So now that I've mentioned that, let's get into simplifying the watering. Now in 2025, watering all of my plants, even though I have a small collection of about 50 plants, I would find that watering took forever for me. So I would go around with my moisture meter, stick the moisture meter into the soil of all of my plants, wait for quite a few seconds for the meter to show its reading, and then decide whether I'm going to be watering my plant or not watering my plant. And it was a mess. But I would say that I have learned a lot from that experience and have sort of simplified it. So here you can see that I have a table calendar with certain markings on Sundays. So like you can see that this Sunday is marked as full collection and every unmarked Sunday is half collection. Now, over the last year of having all my plants indoors, I have gradually learned which of my plants dry out really fast so that I have to water them every week, and which of my plants can, tolerate being watered every alternate week. And I have decided to simplify the watering accordingly. Now, if I have a small pot, anything below 4 inches, and if the plant is in my chunky soil mix, like if I have repotted the plant into my own mix, then I am going to be watering it every Sunday because I know that soil mixture tends to dry out fast. Also, if it is a plant like calatheas, which do not like to dry out completely, I'm going to be watering it every week. Now, what are the plants that I'm going to be watering every alternate week? Those are the plants like my pothos and my hoyas. So all of my pothos and some of my mature hoyas, they all sit in pots which are larger than 6 inches. Some of them are even 8 inches. So those are the plants where, because of the amount of soil that is in the pot, they can tolerate being watered every alternate week. So for example, one of that is my pothos here. Whereas this Hoya Mathil, even though it sits in a much smaller pot, it gets watered every alternate week because it sits in the original soil mix by Proven Winners, which takes about 2 weeks to dry out. So that is how I'm going to be watering. But going around with your moisture meter and checking your soil to see if your soil has dried up or not is a very useful technique if you are still new in this houseplant hobby. But for me, 2025 has been quite a learning experience. So this year I'm going to be doing things different. So the next thing that I'm going to be simplifying is the soil. Now that is because different soil mixes like chunky soil mix and leca and pond and moss pole and fluval, there are a lot that people are recommending for different sort of plants, but the soil mix that you use is not a standalone factor. Like if you are growing in leca or pond, you have to add in different types of fertilizers because you have to get fertilizers specifically which are made for growing plants hydroponically. So it just adds a lot of variance that you need to take care of, and the price of everything can add up. So yes, I am going to be having just 2 types of soil mixes. So the first soil mix is my own chunky soil mix, and the other one is the soil mix that comes from the store. Now the reason behind that is because I have optimized the watering for those 2 soil, and it kind of goes with that every week or every alternate week watering schedule. Now the 4th point is downsizing some of my plants. So the plants that I plan on downsizing gradually are some of my haworthias, some of my snake plants, and some of my aloes. Now don't get me wrong, I really love these plants, but they are just not suited for my space. So basically I am going to be downsizing on the plants which I feel are not adjusting well to my home. So that way I'm going to be having plants which only give me joy. So again, the next point is sort of a follow-up from the downsizing point. So this year I'm going to be very mindful about what houseplants that I buy. I'm going to curate each of them, and I'm not going to be indulging in impulse buys because I don't want to overwhelm myself with having to quarantine different plants in different areas away from my existing collection, and then remembering to water them and give them enough and make sure that they get enough light and stuff like that. So yes, so this year I have thought that I'm just gonna be limiting myself to buying some of the varieties of pothos or ivies, or maybe some hoyas and dischidias, and definitely no succulents or cacti. So the sixth point is not indulging in the chopping and propping madness, and also indulging in plant rescue. Now, let's talk about the chopping and propping thing. So, when you chop and prop, sometimes it is healthy for the plant, but sometimes it retards the rate of plant growth, especially for species like Hoyas. And also, propagating plants is not a very aesthetic process. As you can see here, that these trays of aloes and also the echeverias, they do look very messy as opposed to my nicely curated spaces of other plants that I have over here. And yeah, so I just don't want to have certain areas of my home looking ugly that way. So yes, this year I'm not going to be propagating anything. So the other thing is about plant rescue. So last year I just attempted it once, and it wasn't a colossal failure, but yes, it was not a very happy experience again, because I bought this Raven ZZ at half price from Lowe's, and I just thought that I'm gonna dry the soil quickly by putting it outside. But instead, I found that all the shoots were starting to die on me, and so then I had to immediately take it out of the soil and separate out the healthy rhizomes from the unhealthy ones. And from the unhealthy rhizomes, if there were enough shoots or leaves which were salvageable, pot it up for it to grow roots. And there's a lot of uncertainty and anxiety in the process, because I did not want to lose the plant. But at the same time, I already had a Raven ZZ, so I did not want to go out and get another Raven ZZ, because I do not like having duplicates for the plants that I already have in my collection. So yes, no more indulging in plant rescues in 2026, because all life dies. Okay, that's just a part of the process. Nature has made things that way, and I don't want to associate any personal guilt with it. And now coming to the seventh point, and perhaps this is the most important point for me to remember. This year I'm not going to be indulging in plant shipping. So last year I did buy quite a few plants online, and most of the time the experience was stressful, and I realized it's not even a very sustainable way of growing your houseplant collection. So the first reason is buying plants online was in a way very stressful. You're doom scrolling on different apps for quite a lot of time. Nowadays I also hear that there are bidding apps on plants, where you can bid for those exotic rare plants, which would apparently give you all the joy in this world, but after you have it, you're looking for the next beautiful rare exotic plant to give you all the joy in the world. And secondly, shipping plants is stressful in many other ways. Like, it stresses your plant because you're not going to be getting the plant immediately. It's growing perfectly in a greenhouse somewhere or a grow tent in someone's home, and suddenly it gets wrapped up in darkness and then gets shipped to you. And oftentimes I see people shipping plants even in the peak winter when it's freezing outside with heat pack and whatnot. So that sudden change is very stressful for the plants. Again, that is not a very sustainable way of growing your houseplant collection. Either you're going to be spending too much money ordering in bulk so that you get that free shipping, or if you just want that one plant, Usually it'll come with some amount of shipping fees depending on shipping time. So if you want it quickly, usually the shipping fees are going to be thrice the price of your plant, and if you're going to opt for slow shipping for that just one plant, probably it will come in a near dead condition. And also, it's not a very sustainable way of growing your houseplant collection, because when you ship plants, it comes with a lot of shipping material, especially so even during the winters. Even when you're buying plants at the peak of summer, you need to protect the plant from extreme heat. Moreover, you have all these garbage created in the process of packaging your plants, and it adds to a lot of waste. So I know some of you will say that you can always reuse those stuff, but how many people who order plants online again ship plants to other people, that all of those packaging material would get reused? Usually it will go into the garbage. But instead, this year I would try to find joy from shopping for plants locally. So buying plants locally means going and looking at different plants and feeling the texture of the plants, whether it speaks to you or not, or just looking at some plants which you're happy to look at but you necessarily wouldn't be interested in buying. For example, for me it's going to be cacti this year. I'm not going to be buying any cacti, but that doesn't mean that I don't like seeing cacti. So yes, I would get that joy of getting up close to a cacti in the nursery. And also, if I buy plants locally, it also boosts the local economy and supports smaller businesses, and also minimizes my carbon footprint while adding new houseplants to my collection. So those are all of my 7 resolutions that I'm going to follow to just enjoy the houseplant hobby in 2026. And let me know in the comment section which of the 7 tips resonate with you and you would like to try out for yourself. As always, give this video a thumbs up if you watched till the end, and do consider subscribing if you haven't yet. Now feel free to watch some of these other videos that YouTube thinks you might like. And that's it for today. I hope you have an awesome year ahead growing your houseplants, and I'll see you in the next one. Take care. Bye.